This is not a particularly difficult question. However, it's important that even on easy ones, we follow the process that we're going to want to follow on the harder ones, because we don't know always whether a question's easy or hard. It might feel very easy as we are walking right into a trap. So the process for this is that we first need to recognize that these choices are different forms of the verb malfunction, right? So what changes between them, right? The first thing I'm always going to look for is whether or not these verbs are singular or plural. I very quickly know that choice A is singular. Malfunctions is a singular verb, as is has malfunctioned. The word has is doing that. But the other two choices are different. Will malfunction, that is not a verb form that takes this property of being singular plural. It doesn't matter, right? He will malfunction, or the robot will malfunction, or the robots will malfunction. It doesn't matter whether it's one robot or multiple. We're still going to say will malfunction. So this is a verb form that's both. And to be clear, I would not be making sentences to test that out. I know that because of memory. I've memorized that both B and D, the future tense and the past tense, are not going to take this property of singular plural. So that means my first verb rule, verb agreement, probably doesn't apply. It's really got to be the case that all four need to be classified definitively as singular plural. So it's probably not about that. I'm glad I checked just in case, but it's not about that. Verb rule number 2 is what I call the to and ing rule. I call it that because almost every time we're going to have a verb in the to form, like to malfunction, or in the ing form, like is malfunctioning. I don't see either of those, so it's probably not about that. And that leaves us with the verb rule that everyone thinks is the only verb rule, what I call past, present, future. When does this sentence take place? Which verb do we need to convey the time of the sentence correctly? Everyone wants every verb question to be about that, but that is our last verb rule. That is the one we get to after we've eliminated the other two. And again, this process really matters. Maybe not here, because this is an easier question, but the harder ones, you're really going to want to make sure you are following this process and eliminating the possibility of the other two verb rules mattering before you settle on the time. So let's take a look. Now we're going to read the sentence, and I'll read the whole thing because sometimes maybe the first sentence gives us context that matters for the timing. The Globe Theatre in London is a reconstruction of the famed venue where many of Shakespeare's plays were first performed. In 1613, a prop cannon malfunctioned during a performance and ignited the Globe's thatched roof. No one was hurt, but in 2 hours, the original Globe was gone. So malfunction makes sense for a few reasons. We're talking about the past, 1613, and then this sentence is repetitive, right? A prop cannon malfunctioned and ignited the Globe's thatched roof. So a little symmetry, always nice to kind of reinforce what's going on, but I think just common sense and context here tell us that this is about the past, 1613. That's a long time ago. So we're going to use the past tense, which is D. Now, some of you might be like, well, why isn't it C? My short answer is sounds stupid. In 1613, a prop cannon has malfunctioned during a performance. That sounds weird to me. And this is the thing about the past, present, future rule is honestly, if you've eliminated the other two and kind of those are the trickier rules, the agreement and the to and ing, if you're down to past, present, future, your instincts are probably going to be right. You choose the correct tense every time you open your mouth and speak in English. You naturally do it. You're not bad at it. So trust your instinct. You know, it's just that the other two rules, our instincts are usually going to be wrong. So that's why we got to think about those first and get them out of the way so that we make sure we aren't falling for any traps. But once we kind of go down the list and we're at this point, just listen to the sentence. Comment if you think I'm wrong, but to me, D sounds way better than C here. The has malfunctioned doesn't make sense. Now, the has malfunctioned also makes it sound almost like a present tense in a way. It has malfunctioned, so we should fix it. Like that makes it sound like it's malfunctioned right now, or like up to maybe like 10 minutes ago, it has malfunctioned. So the has is not as past tense as we need. It's over. The malfunctioning has, that whole event has already ended a long time ago. So that's really what it's about, is that the choice D, past tense, is definitively everything's in the past, nothing is ongoing. The has makes it sound like we're still kind of dealing with this problem, and that's just obviously not the case. The theater burned down. So I think, again, this is one of those cases where your instinct is going to be better than trying to listen to or trying to use a rule. Listening to the sentence is better than trying to think about it too grammatically and being like, well, this is the past participle or whatever. Like, no, like just trust your instinct. But remember, for the hard ones, the reason we're allowed to trust our instinct is we've gone down this list and we've thought about this process and put these rules in a kind of hierarchy where we know which ones are not going to allow us to trust our instincts. And then once we get past those, then we get to the safe place where, yeah, just listen and it should be right.